2 weeks earlier, I had the perfect life, perfect wife, perfect house, perfect family, everything. And now I'm in the back of a police car going to a hospital for mental issues. You know, in my mind, the perfect family, the perfect life, perfect kids. And was it perfect? No, but I mean, again, it was like everything was just in place. And, again, I'm not saying everything was perfect, but, in my mind it was. And everything was just you just take that photo of, husband, wife, 2 kids in smocks, a dog, and a white picket fence. That was pretty much how it was. 98% of my life was positive, going to look at the positive side of things, and again, just kind of more, I don't want to say arrogant, but like, oh, that's never going to happen to me. I got things under control, go to church every Sunday, Wednesday, time the doors are open, teach youth, whatever it might be, but it just really, life was perfect, and I couldn't see how people could deal with depression when life was so perfect. Went through a divorce. It was, first marriage and, high school sweethearts. And, the divorce really, affected me differently than it might affect someone else. And, I'd heard of my friends going through divorce and people I'd known going through divorce. And, I was just like, okay, well, I'm sorry, I'll be praying for you. And it's just a divorce. It's no big deal. And, that's how I thought about it. And then when I actually happened to me and, your family split up and your kids and, and not saying whose fault it was, I'm just talking about divorce in general and how tough it is to adjust. And, you just you lose your whole almost being, because that's your whole reason for, you supporting your family, and you still are, but it's, your family's kind of broken up then. And every time something negative happened, where before I would be like, it's gonna work itself out. It was like it just spiraled down to like, okay, this failed, so that's gonna fail, that's gonna fail, that's gonna fail, and it just spiraled down.
Shannon died in December 2010. She had the flu, turned into pneumonia. She went back and forth to the doctor, and then I took her to the emergency room thinking it was just going to be a normal, IVs and all that, and she passed away. So from the minute that I had to tell my children that she had passed away, you could start noticing a change in Tyler almost immediately.
So I said goodnight, love you, and went in the room, Googled whatever medication it was at the time, would this kill you, and what the dose was and the milligrams or whatever it is, and it said yes. And I was like, that put me at peace. I was like, okay. I got to a point where it was almost, I don't want to say schizophrenia, but it wasn't me anymore. That's when I almost came to peace with, like, I was like, I felt like I let everybody down. And I think I'd been in and out of the hospital 2 or 3 times. I think I'd been out a couple weeks, and finally I just had some pills, and
his life right before he committed suicide was pretty stressful. He had had a little boy that was a year old, was having relationship issues, stressful at jobs. And he kind of was getting back on, getting professional help and getting back on medicines again.
So I'm waking up with panic attacks. I'm drinking myself to sleep, and I still don't see anything wrong with what I'm doing and how it's affecting my life. I had a health scare, at one point in my life, and because of that, I had to undergo a surgery. And in the time of the surgery and the healing process and everything, I thought I was fine. I was always kind of the type of guy that just didn't really deal with emotions or feelings or anything like that. Just kind of like go through it and kind of be strong, be strong or whatever. And at one point, probably a year after that whole process, is when I feel like everything kind of like caught up to me all at once. Like all of the emotions, the feelings that maybe I should have worked through at the time, they all came like crashing down on me. And I had a very jaded view of God and jaded view of myself after that,
Took the pills and had water, and they were smaller. They weren't like horse pills. They were just smaller little, pills. And I laid out 42, 43, and took them 4 or 5 at a time. But this was about 7 o'clock at night, and I just remember I got in that small little, like a single bed back there. Like, okay, I'm at peace. And woke up the next morning, I was like, I'm still here. God, I guess you must have a plan for me. And went back into depression. I wasn't excited, I wasn't happy, I wasn't sad. I just was like, I can't even take pills and just be at peace. And then I was still depressed for however much longer it was. And, that was my first thought. I was like, God, you must have a plan for me, but I don't care. I wasn't excited.
I hate to use the word selfish, but it is a selfish death, because the people that get left behind are the ones that are gonna hurt the most. I always think about Tyler, he's not hurting anymore. But those of us that were left behind is really where you need to be thinking when you're contemplating suicide. You are not the only one. You've got parents, you got brothers, sisters, kids, grandkids, whatever your situation is. I would say contemplating suicide is the easy way out.
The daily life for me during that time was I would wake up every day. I kid you not, I would wake up every day with a panic attack for some reason. I would always wake up like just really quickly out of my sleep and instantly heart's pounding, afraid for some reason. Don't know why, but just fear. And never got up. I would get out of the bed, in the morning, use the restroom or whatever, but then I'd get back in the bed, and then right before I needed to really go to work, that's when I get up. Like I wouldn't get up and eat breakfast, I wouldn't, my appetite had changed, and I didn't really take care of myself, man. There were some days where I didn't shower. There were some days where I didn't brush my teeth, things like that, because it felt like felt like the bed was my safe space, it was the only comfort I had, so. And then I'd go to work, kind of breeze through that, fake it, like I enjoyed my life, even though I was doing good work, it didn't fulfill me. And I come home, have some drinks, eat some dinner, kinda, because like I said, my appetite had changed, and started over the next day. The biggest thing was shame. I really felt ashamed of myself, and I wanted to hide everything. I didn't want nobody to find out about this. Because I was afraid of what people would think of me. I was afraid they would judge me, so I didn't let anybody in. Like I said, I kind of secluded myself. Somewhat, yeah, but the biggest thing was shame, dude. Like, I was so ashamed of myself and who I'd become.
He's never mentioned anything about wanting to take his life. He would tell me that he was getting tired of it, but I would always tell him, say, well, this is what we need to do to make it work. Coming up with solutions on on his relationships and his son and he never mentioned suicide, never. And when he did commit suicide, the next Monday, or the next day that I talked to him on that Sunday night, when I got the phone call, it took me, it literally took me out, because I just couldn't believe, that it shot itself. It's just, I have thought many a times that there's an easy way out of all this pain, because I get tired of hurting every day too, and I get tired of crying every time a certain song comes on. But then I think about how selfish that is of me, especially with my daughters already losing their mother. Now they lost their brother, and my grandkids. You just got to realize that you are very important. God has you here for a reason, and it should not be your choice to take your own life. It should be your choice to make life better for yourself, which will make everybody around you's life better.
So what led to it was, I remember when I had started this new job, and I was loving it at first, and I remember I was having these physical symptoms of something that felt like I was having a heart attack. It's like I was having these physical symptoms of things, and like shortness of breath, chest pains, headaches, eye aches, and things like that. And at the time, I didn't know it was like symptoms of like anxiety or depression. I thought, it's a health thing again, and so straighten up, man, drink some water and try to go for a walk, go to the gym or whatever. But that led to me figuring out what it really was, because I would go to the doctor and be like, hey, I'm feeling this way, blah, 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 but there's nothing physically wrong with me. And so one of my primary doctors did a screening on me, and they opened my eyes to the possibility that it might be some sort of mental, you might be going through some sort of mental issue, and then that's when it all changed.
But yeah, the light really came on whenever we had a visit with Dr. Jackson, and we're talking about putting me back in like a Greenleaf type place, or one of those centers, which I had gone to Archibald and had been in 3 different mental health institutions, floors, whatever you want to call it. But they were talking about, I was like, I just can't get better, so we were going to put me back in there, and realizing that going in there made things worse, because you were around other people that were either like you or worse than you, and that's never a good combination. So I didn't want to, go back in there, but I was desperate. I was like, well, dang, I know I haven't been to a facility I've liked yet. So we were in there. It was me, my mom, and Ashley, and we were talking, and my mom was talking about how our family had dealt with depression in the past, and and just really tough situation, and I looked over at Ashley. I could just tell she was kind of upset, and I was like, dang, Ashley's been here, and it's like right then, it's like, you know what, I'm not in as bad a spot as I think I am. I need to try to figure this out, and after we get out of this all, at Phoebe and Dr. Jackson's office back there, the little doctor's office back at the veranda, I'm gonna, we'll call Ashley and say, hey, we'll work on turning this thing around. Again, I had, not hating on weight gain, but had gained 60 pounds, and, was on 3 different medications, and sometimes you can't control that. I'm not saying you can or can't, but it's like, that time God was like, all right, we're gonna shift gears here, and we walked out of the office, and I already felt embarrassed because me, my mom, Ashley, and Dr. Jackson, like, grown man here with, trying to, it made me feel bad. So we got out there, and Ashley was going back to work, and I called her. I said, hey, she was kind of upset, and I said, hey, sorry, I know that was a lot to take, and, hearing about our history and, family depression, but I'm not gonna go on the counseling. I'm gonna, can't remember if I said give it to God or how I worded it, but I said, I'm gonna work on getting better, and we're gonna get through this.
Like, the concrete thing that actually made me change was I got tired of myself. I was sick of myself, dude. I was so tired of myself. I was like, man, look at you. Bro, come on, man. Like, there's so much more to your life. Like, God has so much more for you. You got good friends, you got good family. Like, come on, man, let's make a change. Let's do something about it instead of just loathing in it, all the time. And one of the first things I did was I saw this thing on Google talking about how do something for your mind, body, and spirit every day. And I'm like, man, that's corny. They're like, write down stuff about gratitude. Man, I ain't doing all that. That's stupid. What's gonna really help me? And bro, I started doing it, writing out my feelings, writing out my thoughts, doing something for my mind, body, and spirit every day. What that means is, what that looked like for me was, I would start reading. I would read, mind, body, and spirit. So body was like, either I try to go to the gym, or I cook a meal, like a good meal for myself, like nothing trashy, a good meal. And spirit was, for me, it started out with this thing called the first 15, which meant, because at the time I didn't care about my spirit at the time. I didn't care about growing. I didn't care about the faith. I cared, but I didn't care about doing anything to grow it, if that makes sense. So it started out 5 minutes in the first 15 minutes of my day, 5 minutes of some sort of praying or worship, 5 minutes of reading, and then 5 minutes of some sort of doing some sort of devotional, So that's kind of what I did to start that, and it grew, and I did it every day. And there were some mornings I didn't do it, but I tried to keep this thing to where I didn't miss 2 consecutive days of doing things, and I was holding myself accountable, man, and I will say one more thing. My wife, man, she saved my life. God is great, and He's always been there for me, even when I didn't think He was, and even if my view of Him was twisted at the moment. But here on earth, and my wife saved my life, dude. Like, she made me aware of some things that I didn't know that I was struggling with. I needed healing from, and she also just made me grow up, and be more accountable, because for the first time in a long time, I saw a future for myself. I was hopeful for things to come, and that was just the spark that lit. It didn't happen overnight, but it was the start of my mindset changing, man, and me going back to viewing God as not just this entity, but my father, because there were some other things I needed healing from too, my physical father, family trauma and all that, we all go through that, but spiritually, I was an infant,
I'd say it's going to be the toughest thing that you'll probably deal with, no matter what's causing the depression. You're going to feel like you're hopeless, like life is worthless, and like you just can't get out of it. Like there's no reason to get up or do anything or But if you'll just take those baby steps, even when somebody tells you, hey, go for a 3-minute walk, do that. Even though you're like, I don't want to. Or go outside and get some vitamin D or some sunshine, do that. I do not like journaling, but they said start writing down positive things. Even if you don't like writing, write down positive things. Just kind of baby step into just one small step each day, even if it's going outside and walking 10 steps. Just you've got to kind of trick yourself almost and rely on your true friends, and that's top part, I would say. Make sure you have somebody you can talk to that you do trust and that will guide you in the right direction.
Well, he was in the heat of an argument, and I always wished that he would have called me and said, hey, can I come over? Or can you come over? And I think that one phone call would have made my life totally different than it is now, in his kids' lives, in his sister's lives, and my wife's life. And that one phone call that he made to me Sunday night, if he'd admitted Sunday night that he was having issues, then it would have been a whole different ballgame now. I wouldn't be here talking about it. I mean, he was too proud to make that phone call and decided to make a different decision. And ask for help. I would say anyone that's contemplating, especially a man that's contemplating suicide, there's somebody out there you can call. I go to a large church. There's plenty of men at that church that I can call. My pastor I can call, friends, family. You can call somebody, and you got to admit that you need help, and not be embarrassed by asking for help. I think that's where the biggest issue is now is men don't want to feel like they're less of a person because they want to call somebody. I would say call somebody and meet up with somebody and talk, because once that decision's made, there's no turning back.
Then getting married, which is strangely, for some reason, dude, it triggered that feeling again. I don't know why. Because I had these preconceived expectations, these notions that how I'm supposed to be as a husband and all this, and then when real life kicked in and I was and I wasn't living up to what I thought I had to live up to, it triggered it again, But she helped me out through that. She helped me out through that too, She reassured me that no, you don't have to live up to what you think you need to live up to, We just need to take care of each other, love God, and He's gonna lead us, and He's gonna lead you, and I trust Him to lead you. And so, and that made me that made me confident. I don't know what. Well, I was like, you trust God to lead me? I was like, oh girl, stop it. Oh, we can cut that out. But yeah. So I still take medication. I still see a therapist every now and then when I feel like I really need to. But my life is night and day compared to where it used to be. I'm enjoying my life. I'm thriving. I'm not just surviving right now, because for a long time I was in survival mode. I was drowning and I couldn't swim. I didn't know how to swim. Now I have the tools to when I get in that water, I know how to get up out of there, But no, yeah, man, my life is night and day different from what it used to be. Dude, it's so much better. Oh my gosh, man, God is so good. So each day now, man, compared to where it used to be, it's night and day, I wake up and I'm excited about what God has given me, what job He's given me and giving me the opportunity to thrive in. I'm excited for my life and my wife, and I'm excited that I get to do this with my partner, my best friend, and I get to make a difference wherever I am. And I feel like God has given me so much favor in some things, because I feel like if it was all left up to me, I would have been out of here, I feel like God preserved me. So, it's night and day. I wake up, I drink a bunch of water. I try to go to the gym every morning, 4 to 5 days a week. And that just sets the tone for my day, honestly. I didn't buy into all that crap about how like, wake up and go do something and you'll get these endorphins and this stuff. I was like, that's crap. I'm sore, you know? But it's crazy how much it helps, man. And coming back home and getting ready for work with my wife is just, I'm just so grateful for things now. Like, I would have never thought I'd have this life right now, you know? And even through all the ups and downs, I wouldn't have it any other way. I love my life.
And I've probably can admit that I did not get any professional help. I decided to, and plus I don't take medicine. I just tried to decide that my mind, I was gonna make it strong enough to override any thoughts that I was having, and making my decisions based on just how strong I can be, you know, that to get me through this. And plus, like I said, my family means more to me than anything. And if I got to thinking about it, all I had to do was think, you know what, there's no way. I got a lot of people that depend on me to help them get through this too, because they're hurting just as bad as I am. Well, my biggest issue with me is I travel a lot. I have a lot of windshield time, and it could get bad. Yeah, you really start thinking, and you start thinking stuff you shouldn't be thinking, and then you just got to get in that other mindset and know that you're not the only one. You are not the only one, and I think that's where Tyler got it. I think he thought he was alone and just couldn't deal with it, and things, you know, got bad with the relationship, and he decided it was his time. Do I get mad? Yes. And I don't want to be mad at him because he's not here anymore. But you have a lot of anger. You got a lot of guilt. But you also got to realize that it's not your fault. Once you realize it's not your fault, then you start getting that mindset of you are needed and you are wanted and you need to keep on with your life. And I don't think a lot of guys go that extra step to realize you're here for a reason.
Psalms 91. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you say, the Lord is my refuge, and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near your tent, for He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because He loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.